Hello grade 7 clarinet players. So in this short video lesson we're going to be looking at the last section of I Want It That Way. So that is from bar 45 to the end for us. Now I mentioned this briefly last week, but if you look at bar 45 you can see there's a key signature change. That means the key is going to change. Previously we were in D minor with 1 flat, and we're going to change to the key of E minor, which is 1 sharp, F sharp. That means that the music is moving up 1 tone from D minor to E minor for us. This is a very common device, especially in pop songs, to change the key towards the end. What it does is it gives the song a lift. It creates emotional kind of tension and release when you go up to the new key. So it's a very common device that we find in pop songs. So what we have from bar 45 to the end is basically a repeat of the chorus, but just in this new key. So let's do a quick warm-up in the new key. We're going to play the scale of E minor. We're just going to play the natural minor. So we're going to play, starting on the E, we're going to play up to the E above, simply following the notes going up one at a time, but we're going to be putting in the F sharp. In other words, we're going to play this scale, starting on the E. Sorry, I went up 1 note extra there, and it was a weird note. And then coming back down, starting on the E. So if I play that in one go. Right, let's see if we can do this with the metronome. So I'm going to set my metronome a little bit slower. I'm going to set it to 80 beats per minute for this scale. And we're going to try and play 1 bar or 1 measure on each note, starting on this E. So E, F sharp, G, A, then over the break to B, C, D, E. Starting on E, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then back down. Okay, so that is our new key of E minor. Right, let's launch straight into the music then. You can see here at bar 45 we just have 1 whole note of G for 4 beats. And then we have this phrase here. Now you can see we've got some accidentals here. We've got an F sharp sign, we've got a sharp sign with the brackets round. So that means that is an F sharp. It's really just reminding you that we've got this F sharp in the key signature. And then here we have a natural sign on the B in brackets. And again, this is just reminding you that we no longer have a B flat in the key signature. So these don't really need to be here. They're just there to help you, to remind you, hang on, we've changed key, don't forget to play these notes. Right, I'm going to play bar 45 to the end. It's really similar to the other bits that you've already played in terms of the tune, in terms of the rhythm and the articulation. One thing to look out for is at the very end here, we have a long note, it's going P, and then we have sub, which is short for subito, which means suddenly. So basically, this is loud, very dramatic, then suddenly very quiet, then we get louder during this long note, and then finish off with 2 loud notes at the end. Everybody does that, so it's a very dramatic ending. Okay, so I'm going to set my metronome up at 100 BPM because that's the speed that we're aiming to be able to play this at. So There we go, 100 BPM. This is bar 45. Now I'm going to play part 1 and then I'm going to play part 2 afterwards. So, sorry, clarinet 1 and clarinet 2. Rhythmically they're exactly the same bits, they're actually playing the same notes. At the end you've got the same notes but you're just in octaves. So clarinet 2 has the lower octave, clarinet 1 has the high octave. But I'm going to play both parts anyway so you can hear. This is clarinet 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 48. Okay, very dramatic ending. Now I'm going to do exactly the same on clarinet 2. You can hear that it's a very similar part. Here we go. One, two, three, four, one. Right, so that's part 1 and part 2. Let's just break it down a little bit. Let's look at bar 46. This phrase here, bar 46 and 47. The first 2 notes that we play are actually the same length. They're written out differently. So this note is written as a dotted quarter note, and then we have an 8th note and a quarter note tied together. This note is worth 1.5 beats, and this note is of course played as one note, and it's also 1.5 beats. So those 2 notes are the same length, even though they look different on the page. So this phrase, bar 46 and 47, is going to sound like this. And for clarinet 2s, it's going to sound like this. 2, 3, 4. So almost exactly the same, just the first 2 notes are slightly different. Then the next phrase, where we come in at bar 49, we just need to be careful about the articulation here. We have 2 pairs of 8th notes that are slurred together. And that's the same in part 1 and part 2. I'm just going to play that phrase. So this is bar 49 and 50. And in part 2, it sounds like this. So again, the same rhythm, just slightly different notes on part 2. And then the final phrase, we have these 2 accented notes, and then another accent, and then we have this long, suddenly soft note getting louder over the space of 7 beats. And then to finish off, 2 8th notes, played loud and dramatic. So, part 1, this is the last 3 measures. So the last 2 notes, the first one is tenuto, the second one is an accent, so slightly longer on the first note. Ba-dum. And if I play part 2, you can hear it's exactly the same, except you're playing an octave lower to start with. Then you've actually got a big jump from the B right up to the high A. So this is the last 3 bars on clarinet part 2. Okay. So that's what I want you to try and practice this week, basically 45 to the end, and then next week I think we're going to try and play the whole thing. You can listen to the audio, we talked about that last week, it's a really good thing to do. You can even try and play this last bit along with the audio if you want. But the main thing is, think about that new scale, the new key, make sure you're playing the correct accidentals. So don't get caught out, don't play B flats when they're supposed to be B naturals now, and don't play F naturals when it's supposed to be F sharps. That's the big difference between this section and the whole of the other section, the whole of the rest of the piece. It's just this last 8 bars where it changes key, basically. Okay, so that's it for this week. I will see you next week for our next video lesson.